Everybody, it's me
and Cheryl.
And we are cooking an Indian dinner for some friends of ours, so we thought we would just go live. Cheryl does not usually cook with me, though she's cooking with me a little bit more, so I thought maybe this will be good, maybe this will not be good. We'll see how it all goes.
Yeah.
We are not a smoothly oiled cooking machine. Typically I'm like, I will do 7 dishes and that's fine. We're going to do 4 things, and so we're going to start with some of the easiest stuff. This is just some water from the kettle. Hey, Mary Ellen from Canada, it's awesome to see you. And Kathy Mack, yay! I haven't seen you in a while, and if you want to man the comments, you just click on them, and then if they don't go away in time, you can click on them again.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to do some butter soy curls. And you're like, wait a minute, you said no oil. It's just the name. We call it butter chicken, right? But it has no chicken and it has no butter. So a lot of these things, actually all of these things, except for one, are not traditional Indian food. One is from a recipe in the Great Vegan Bean Book by my friend Kalpana, who is Indian. So a lot of these are just things that I've tweaked to make a little different. We're going to make butter soy curls. And you feel free to interrupt me and read anything too if you want to. Oh, hey, Linda and Carlene. And yay, Facebook user whose name I don't know, but happy Friday to you too. And you can put it up too, because some people read it and some people hear it.
Okay.
So, and hey, Apple. So basically, I had gotten a really big, the box, I think it's like 15-pound box. So I kind of saved some of my long ones for like this fancy chickeny kind of dish. This is just hot water. I put the kettle on for all intents and purposes. I am just reconstituting them in some hot water. If you could change down there so people can see overhead. So see, they're just down in here. And you could use a broth or something like that if you want to. One thing I usually do, so they're kind of hard now. I'm just going to use my happy little smiley face guy and let him just push them in. So I'm going to set these aside. We will strain them really well. And then, that's okay. She doesn't take the subtle clues. No, there's more comments.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So keep putting some of those up. But this is fine too. So I'm going to just sit this away and I'm letting them reconstitute. Soy curls are just soybeans that have been cooked and extruded.
And Vicky's saying that's awesome. So more info on how to make curls. She needs more info.
Okay, they're awesome. So we're going to do that first. So that's what my hot water was for. If you don't have a kettle, it's okay. You don't have to do it that way. The other thing I want to prep, and so this is what's going to be interesting because Cheryl doesn't usually cook with me, and we're going to cook a lot of things. So when she comes, we're like making breakfast. So she cut up these potatoes for me, and I have some water, and I'm just going to she's going to go babysit Max for a minute, and then we're just going to cook them till they're just about tender. We're going to make aloo jeera.
You got a choo-choo.
Oh, we would.
Do you have to go potty?
We will once Cheryl plugs in the induction burner. Okay, so Cheryl, you need to plug in the induction burner. You unplugged it. She likes to come around and clean up all the cords, which is great, except then sometimes I don't know. Let me get a little bowl for trash. So this is, you guys want to see my new dish? Isn't it cute? Let's see, it's not, why is it not? There we go. It's Hello Kitty Witch. That makes me happy. I did not sleep very well last night. How did you guys sleep? So I'm a little crispy around the edges. And I'm going to let Cheryl is not feeling good about her knife skills. And what she doesn't understand is I'm not great with knife skills. I mean, I do okay, but I am not a fancy chef person. I am just home cook recipe developer Kathy. So I thought what would be cool, I had gotten a veggie chopper for Cheryl because she really just doesn't like, yay, it's on. So I'm going to turn on the induction burner and we're going to turn it up really high and let these guys boil a little bit. So we're cooking the potatoes first, then we're going to saute them. Aloo jira are potatoes with cumin seeds. It's a dry curry and not a wet stew curry. And plus, it's potatoes, so they're amazing. Hi, Nona. Is it Nona, Cheryl? Nona? She's not saying yes or no. She's just repeating a word. So,
Nona.
Huh?
Nona.
Am I saying it right?
Nona, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a spouse that if you ask a yes or no question to will never say yes or no? Or is it just me? So I will say, would you like blueberries? I don't know. Maybe a couple. Will be the best, most concise answer I can hope for. Can you tell that bothers me? After this, you guys will decide if we're doing the cook together or not, though. We'll see how much Cheryl is sent around and is missing in action. Okay, we're going to cook these potatoes. I'm going to look at the recipes in a minute. Oh, wow, Jane went to a football game, so it's a late night. It's only 3 o'clock here. I am right. Okay, thank you. Nona. 2 N's. Nona. Okay. I hope I'm doing that right. Yay. Okay, let's see if we missed anything. All right, so one of the things I have, and I thought would be really awesome for Cheryl, you guys have seen me, so Cheryl, plug in the induction burner, or the immersion blender. This is going to be a fun live. Hi, Claudia. I hope you are glad that you've done this. So it fits. It has a little mini food processor. This is the Milthy one. You can't get it anymore. So what happens is you put the, I'll show you from under here. You put the blade in here, and you can put some stuff in there, then close it, and then this fits in here and electronically chops things.
Nice.
So I was thinking, and I will just go ahead and cut this onion into some chunks, and I'm going to let Cheryl make mince out of it in there. We're not going to cut up a whole lot of things. Okay. So do you want to try doing that?
Just put them in there?
I wouldn't put all of them. Fill it about half the way full. And this is Cheryl's first time using it. So Cheryl is basically a new cook. She used to cook before we met, but she feels a little uncomfortable cooking these days. So that's why we're going to do things slightly different. Once we have, I'm going to get a little more water because we're going to need more later on. We have a reverse osmosis system, which is lovely, except for when I'm trying to get a lot of water out of it. Oh, you changed?
Yeah.
Okay, pull it back. Yeah. Okay, so she's just going to press the button and make the little thing go around.
The top one or the bottom one?
Doesn't matter, really. One just goes a little faster. It's okay.
It was kind of jarring.
It's okay. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now make sure you're looking at it. Another thing you can do is shake it around a little bit. And so see how there's still some big pieces?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you can see, but like that's a big piece. So sometimes they get around, so I shake it up. And sometimes what I will do, this may be advanced, is that I will do this, and then I'll shake it. And see how that's nice? About where you like it?
It's a little big still.
Okay, we'll make it smaller. And then these are already pretty much ready to go. Someone said, I can't get soy curls. What else can I use? You don't have to do that. It's not a stick shift. That's not going to make it go faster.
Okay.
Okay, that's a little bit puree, but that's okay. We can work with that.
But that way I don't have to see the chunks.
Okay. So there's always
I won't do it.
a spatula. No, it needs to all be the same, and that's fine. Actually, let's move this, and I'll show you guys. There may be more individual cooking than us both cooking at the same time than I was anticipating. But after we get this done, we'll start our yellow dal. And I haven't forgotten you, who was asking what could you use instead of soy curls. You could use chickpeas. You could use cauliflower and vegetables. You could use tofu, tempeh. You could use any kind of chicken substitute that you want or have on hand if you're not trying to cook this whole food plant-based, no oil. Soy curls are literally soybeans that are squished and extruded.
Nona's already in bed.
Oh my goodness, you should be asleep. Okay, go ahead and do more of the, switch it to both of us.
Okay.
All right. So I have enough onion.
Thank you everyone for your support.
You guys are great.
This is, it's been a long time since I've cooked a lot because I haven't needed to. And so you kind of, and plus when I cooked, I was cooking the typical sad diet. So I get a little intimidated by cooking vegan, and I get a little intimidated, by not knowing what choices I can make for substitutions and things like that. So hopefully, maybe if you're new, we can do this together and you can learn some stuff from Kathy like I am.
You need to work it more and talk less on this one.
Okay.
We got to bring food to somebody in 2 hours. So the other choice is we've had her use this. So that's another way to do it. And Will said she finished up a late lunch, is making one of my slow cooker recipes for dinner. I'm anxious to hear how it turns out too. So I'm going to start our yellow dal, and we're going to do a few things in here, but I want to talk about the beans.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You need to take care of that because you're not 5. I have to be able to talk to the people about some of the food. She just went, ooh, because she got onion on her. So that's, I know, probably wasn't a very nice thing to say, but she also gets this is how she gets out of cooking sometimes too. So we have all these different beautiful lentils in Indian cuisine. And then we also have our yellow lentils. And if you look here, so this is just like plain old cheap yellow lentils. These work just fine. They look kind of in between a tur dal, so these are tur dal, and a chana dal. And these are all, lentils are amazing in Indian cuisine. They have whole with skin, whole without skin, split with skin, split without skin. So there's a lot of that going on. I thought we would also throw in some red lentils. And I just drew a blank of what they're called in Indian cuisine. But they exist. So just the little red lentils. And these are going to melt away to nothing. So what's cool about using a few different kinds of yellow lentils is you'll get a different texture, which can be really lovely. Okay. So
is that it for this?
That's it for that. Except here, come back. Take this out.
That's just a chunk. I already took it out.
She also doesn't like to scrape things quite as much as I do.
I thought I did pretty good.
You did pretty good. You did do pretty good. I'm OCD when it comes to the scraping of the things. All right. I know it's a fancy jar with the three. It's Kilner. I found them on like kitchen something online. I'm going to stab the potatoes and see if they're not anywhere near done yet. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get our Instant Pot. It is plugged in. Good sign. And then probably, Cheryl, I'll put my notes here. I'm going to get a cup measure, and then I'm going to try and write down what I'm doing, or have Cheryl write down what I'm doing. And, I have water over here on. Is it already no, it's just right. And we'll need a measuring cup for this. You are literally in here just like I would make dinner for us. So this is not a planned cooking class. This was like I gathered most of the stuff I needed. Okay. Let me see if I missed anything. Oh, and here you go. You can read some of the comments. I'm going to turn the heat on. I'm going to turn on saute, start, because this is the Instant Pot Pro. And if I'm going to use any whole spices and things, I'm just going to toast them without oil. And that's what's going to happen.
So Liz wants to know, are yellow dal and the same as yellow split peas?
That's what I was just kind of showing you. There's a whole bunch of different kinds. So like these are all, there's mung dal, chana dal, tur dal, and then these are the regular yellow split peas you're used to. So they're kind of like if tur dal and chana dal had a baby. They're thinner than chana dal, which are baby chickpeas, but they're a little bit thicker than the tur dal. So I don't know exactly which one it might be. Okay, so I've got this warming. I'm going to use some black cumin seeds. You're going to see both black and brown. Black are just a little more complex, and that's what I want to use today. So I'm going to do about a teaspoon of those. Actually, let's do a teaspoon of each. Let's live a big life.
And how did you make that decision? Just your taste buds, or?
I'm just making it up right now, and we will adjust later as we go along. But it also made me go, you know what? I would like some coriander seeds. So I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds in there. Oh, smell them. Smell over here. Doesn't that smell nice?
Yeah, it does.
And let's put about a 1/4 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds in there. That's an optional thing. You don't have to do that. And then when it comes closer...
Oh, that's that stuff Helene's allergic to.
Yeah, Helene could not eat this. This would not be good for her.
Yeah, I don't think I understood what it was. I thought it was something totally different. I didn't realize it was just a spice.
Yeah, and so as you smell this, and can you smell it smelling toasty a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so it really changes it. So usually what's done is this is cooked in oil. But do you see how it comes out just fine? I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of turmeric powder. And I'll probably use my fancy one later. I've got some barrel... Can you go... Come on. There we go. And then I also have a really cool thing, which is cumin and coriander together. It's used a lot together in Indian cooking. I'm also going to take some garam masala. You want to not use McCormick. You want to use something else. And I'm probably going to put about a tablespoon. We can always adjust these later. And I'm going to go ahead and cancel on the saute because the pan is already hot. And then what's going to happen is it's going to still toast. And you guys can't really see, but there's a little smoke from where everything's coming up. Smell it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of strong.
Yeah. Will you keep testing the potatoes? Okay. So this is not a traditional Indian recipe. I am just making this up as I go along. Okay. So I don't want to burn it. If you burn it, you'll have to let it go. Now I'm going to press saute and start again.
Ready yet?
Okay. Just try. Can you poke them with a fork?
I can't.
And I'm going to put probably about 1/4 of this minced onion. Let's call it 1/4 cup. I'm going to use some other dishes.
I'm going to say it's taken me so long to get one to poke that's enough.
Okay. Then I'm also going to end up putting in some garlic and some minced ginger. I have some minced ginger from when I did it for a class. And so now what I want to do is just try and get this mixed in with the onions. If we need to add a little water, we will.
Claudia asks, why not McCormick?
Great question, because it is almost all like cumin. It doesn't have enough of the different flavors. It's not very balanced, and every Indian person I have ever met said, do not get McCormick. So that is why I don't. I do have in a couple of I'm putting just a little more. I'm going to take some of this onion juice and put in there instead of using a little extra water. But you want, garam masala is basically what we think of as a curry blend, but it goes per family. Do you want to stir this for me? And then we'll add some more. Just keep stirring and don't let anything burn. And it's really just like a few easy spices. I'm also coming back here to turn on our fan.
Oh, blew it right in my face. Oh,
okay. It's too strong. It's too strong for you.
It's making my eyes water.
Okay. Because the onions are so tiny, they will cook pretty fast. So I'm going to put a tablespoon. I'm going to turn this off. Let it cook with the heat that's there. I'm going to put a tablespoon of garlic.
Wow, it's really like saute temperature, huh? You can hear it sizzling.
Yeah, and I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of ginger. I may regret that because I got a lot of gingering to be doing soon. But we can always cut up more ginger. And I think this could use a little water, so I'm just going to put a splash of water. When we were at the
Facebook user, let us know who you are.
Is this Elizabeth or Helene?
Yeah, we just see Facebook user.
Oh, this smells so good. Can you guys see? And if you look right now, and you want to look, it looks like the curry paste that you can buy in something.
It does.
Isn't that amazing?
That's cool.
So basically,
and it doesn't smell as burny on my eyes as it did a few minutes ago.
It will mellow out the spices, and it is hard. Cheryl is very sensitive to smells and spices. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to add in here, before I add in a bunch of these beans, is I'm going to cut up some tomato.
Yeah, it does smell amazing, apple.
And again, please know that I'm not trying to say that any of this is traditional, especially this yellow dal that I'm just like making up. Let's go ahead and take a couple of tomatoes. I have a knife over here. So I'm just going to, you could also, let me get a serrated knife. This knife is just, I have a new knife that I'm ready to do a demo with you guys, but I wanted to feature it a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that top part off. And like I said, if this was winter, I would be using canned diced tomatoes. If I didn't have anything, I could use tomato powder. Oh, and I sort of addressed the you don't have soy curls. But you can make this with vegetables. It's just a really nice, the soy curl one is going to be kind of a creamy soy curl made with, actually, I'm going to let the saute go back on. Because I'm cooking so many things, I may turn things on and off more, but it's mostly just to make sure that I don't do anything stupid.
So could you use like mushrooms instead of soy curls?
You could totally use mushrooms. You could use cauliflower. You could use potatoes. So
any of those would hold up good, like the soy curls. Yeah.
Yeah. What would be not as good, or maybe you would need to think of it a little bit differently, would be apple.
Seeing as though curries are made traditional by each individual family and their taste, this is your traditional curry.
Thank you. I just don't want anyone to think I'm trying to take away someone's culture. Here, maybe show our faces for this one. I truly love Indian food. Like, it is a passion for me, and I was so excited that Sitar started doing this every other week, Indian vegan buffet. So I'm getting to try even more traditional or other people's families' curries so that I can kind of make some of them our own. Traditionally, a lot of oil is used in Indian cooking. Do you want to try those potatoes?
Yeah.
I have to be very much the conductor.
So Tracy Reese says soy curls look scary to her.
Okay, can you explain that to us and maybe see what's scary to one person isn't scary to another? It's not textured vegetable protein. What it is literally is non-GMO soybeans cooked and extruded. Extruded just means there's a machine that extrudes them in that shape. They are a whole food. Nothing is left out of it. So, but that doesn't mean you have to use them.
When I try to poke them, some of them break in half. Does that mean they need to cook some more?
No.
Or
here,
I'll let you test.
Yeah, let me test
because
them.
I'm not really
It's
sure.
okay. Yeah, we're going to cook them a little bit more. So I think that's probably good. So why don't you take that and drain it and run cold water over it.
Okay.
Actually, you don't even have to run cold water because I think it could use a little more cooking.
Okay.
All right. Oh, and Tracy Reese loves seeing Cheryl in the kitchen. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want these tomatoes, because they're fresh, just to cook down a little tiny bit more. Release a little bit of that liquid. Since we use fresh tomatoes, if yours were extra juicy, that one was not very juicy, you might have had to cook it a little bit longer. If, it's totally up to you. Oh, yay, Angela's here. And let's see, Elizabeth says, love Indian food. We'll try the cauliflower instead of soy curls. That's great. And here's the thing. You're making food for yourself and your family. You should make what you like. And Tracy Reese says, it looks like chicken and I don't like anything that's chewy and don't like the texture of tofu. So it's not for you, and that's okay. In all my cookbooks, whenever I have a tofu recipe or soy curl recipe, I always tell you what you can substitute. Cauliflower holds up really well in cooking, and it is one of my first things. You could do cauliflower and chickpeas, or just chickpeas. Oh, you are awesome, Angela. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit. We're literally just, yeah, that's exactly right. Meal prep and facial saunas. Look at our glowing skin. Just kidding. You guys are awesome. Okay. Oh, we're happy you're here too, Al. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right, so you see how we're just getting this into a paste. You could use tomato paste instead of tomatoes. Let's say you're allergic to tomatoes. Just don't put them in. Ta-da! It doesn't have to have it, but it's nice, and I would like to have a little bit of that red. We could also put in some carrots. Since we're making so many different things, I'm going to let it just be dal, and we might put some greens in at the end. So I'm going to.
Hey, Kathy. Good to have you here.
Yay! Alrighty, so I'm going to put in. So chana dal take a little longer to cook. And they're also going to hold up longer. So let's go ahead, turn that off. I'm going to put a half cup of red lentils. I am going to put, I'm taking this off camera, sorry. I'm going to do about a quarter cup
Here, let's just go.
of the chana dal.
There you go.
Actually, I'm going to do a whole half cup because we've got a lot to cook. There's plenty of time for these. So what I'm going to do, if you can put that back on, that'd be helpful. And then I'm going to put, I thought I had an open thing of mung dal. Where do all these big things of beans come from? And look, they're not all organic, but you can get organic now at the Indian market. I'm going to do some tur dal. That's 1.5, and we'll do some mung dal.
Goes in the
dal
and bag.
And if you wanted to take all these as I'm doing them and then put something on this one, you could put these in little containers if you had them. And I love mung dal.
Oh, this one has a zippy one.
It doesn't always work. If it does, you can use this one. So I'll show you.
Nope, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. And these are like little oval ones. Marilyn, if you watch this, this is what you were asking about, and that's what they look like. Okay, so I put about 2 cups of beans. So just move that around in here. I'm guesstimating how much water. And see how there's a little bit of spice kind of crusting on the edges. We just want to make sure we get all that. I am going to put
That one's going to be tricky.
2, 4. Let's see. I'm going to put 5 cups of water in there. And it could be a little too thin or a little too thick, but I feel like with 5 cups of water, since we're going to cook it on pressure, there's more than enough that it shouldn't go to a burn notice. If yours goes to a burn notice a lot very easily, go ahead and add another one. And by another one, I mean another cup of water. Okay.
Every time you say burn notice, I giggle a little bit because it's like...
You think of the TV show?
Yeah, like somebody's like, you know, we're spies and get
the burn notice message. So if you guys don't know, burn notice is like if you're a spy and you get a burn notice, they like clean out your accounts and they hunt you down. But this is much, I don't know, it feels kind of like that when you've made something, your burn notice goes on, you're like, I made food and I don't have any dinner. That doesn't make me happy. Okay, so I'm going to put this on. I'm going to try 12 minutes because I don't care. It could be anywhere probably between 8 to 12. Some of these lentils are a little bit old, so they could take a little longer. And I don't care if it turns into this beautiful, smooth, like puree kind of dal.
Karen's favorite is aloo gobi.
Oh,
potatoes and cauliflower.
We should make that too.
Joanne's here.
Yay, Joanne, we miss you. And we're excited. How did you come out from the storm? I'm also looking for the rest of my container. Here it is.
So Apple says she likes to wrap leftover aloo gobi in rice paper and pop it in the air fryer for some faux samosas. That sounds delicious.
I definitely like that. Okay. So we've got that. We've got our soy curls going. I'm going to have to open up. I should have set this up like class, but I didn't.
Glad to have you. Happy you're here.
So what are you guys making today? Oh, you saw a tour doll in Costco today, Tracy Reese. That's great. There's a bunch of wonderful things about going to the Indian market. One is just, they've got beautiful produce. They have curry leaves, they have cilantro, they have some produce you can't usually get other places as well. All the beans, all the grains, all the flours, all the spices, and much cheaper. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I love going to those stores. It's kind of fun.
Now, Mary Ellen says, I love how relaxed you are with substitutions. I'm always worried to ruin the dish. So here's the thing.
She's relaxed. I'm not.
No, okay, so, and it's like two levels of cook. So I used to be Cheryl when I was learning how to cook in my, when I was 18, 19. I followed everything to the letter. But now I'm like, you can fix things later. If this started smelling really weird, or like something didn't smell good together, smell things a lot. If you're doing like something like soy curls versus cauliflower, can it take the same cooking time? Things like that. And Joanne says we did okay, so you didn't have any big damage or anything. I'm glad about that. Oh, and you like my shirt. This is like of our cat. And what is it? Julie Armbruster Art.
Yeah.
Julie
Armbruster.
ARMBRUSTERART. And we love her art. We actually have a print of this that's signed. We have a lot of her stuff.
Yeah, she's a local, well, not local here in Durham, but she's a local North Carolina artist. She's out of Asheville, North Carolina. And we have tons of her work. We love her and we love her work. And you can also get Tracy's stuff on Etsy. She has an Etsy store. I'm sorry, not Tracy, Julie. Julie's store on Etsy is just, I believe it's just under Julie Armbruster, ARMBRUSTER.
Well, this literally says Julie Armbruster Art, so I think if you look that up.
That may be her actual website too. She does sell stuff on her website as well.
Okay, and I'm going to start toasting up the things. So this is the potatoes that we just cooked, and we're just going to dry saute them. Yes, we're not getting, if I was eating these at home, if our friends were coming here, I would do these last, but we're going to warm up some of the food, and I just want to get this out of the way. Okay, we got the potatoes here, and on the recipe, you can either dry saute the spices or use oil. You'll find that in a lot of my recipes. That doesn't mean I'm telling you to use oil. I'm not using it, but it lets someone who's unfamiliar, maybe just testing out something vegan, to feel a little more comfortable, right? Like our doctor, Dr. Bean, I was really surprised when we were telling her about our diet, and she's like, oh, it must be hard to not have olive oil. And I'm like,
she was like, how do you cook without oil?
Yeah, it's very easy. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds. And this was about 4 cups of potato. How many cups is it really that we did? It's pretty close. I may do 3. Do you want to put the overhead on for me? Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to...
Joanne's refrigerator shorted, but it's repaired now due to surges. I have not heard from my parents. I texted them they told me everything was fine the day before. And then I texted Mom just some stuff yesterday and she didn't respond, but she saw the message. So I assume she just figured it was nothing to respond to, because I didn't ask any questions really. I just kind of made a statement, and so I guess she's looking at her messages. She's fine. But
and we're using the ground and the whole. If you don't have whole, we're going to use like half a teaspoon of ground. That's okay. You could just use ground. And one of the things I love about shopping at the Indian market is that I can get these packs of seeds. So I have a little a little container that's full of all the bags of these spices. We'll use the fancy turmeric powder.
Real says you're doing well with describing things in words.
Oh, good, thank you. Because I I always try to think about that. And I do say, do the thing with the thing too much. So what I've added in so far, I've done 2 tablespoons of cumin seeds, 2 tablespoons of ground coriander, a half a teaspoon of cumin, ground cumin, and I did half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. And then I have real chili, Indian chili somewhere, but where did I'm looking for here it is. So I use cayenne pepper, and I don't want to use too much of it because Cheryl can't take much. So I'm probably going to use a 1/4 teaspoon or less. You can make it as spicy as you want.
Jeez.
And don't put it in front of the fan. I literally just blew it down our throats. Any of you who've seen me live, I'll move it a little bit away from the fan. That's hilarious. I will always, we're going to take about a 1 teaspoon of grated ginger.
I want some water.
Maybe in just a second. I just want to get this done real quick. And normally it has chopped cilantro, and we're out of chopped cilantro. But I do have some dried cilantros. So we'll crumble that up and put it in there.
Hey, Tracy. Julie's last name is Armbruster. I believe it's
Like
ARMBRUSTER. Sorry, she's still
I'm killing her.
killing me with the spices.
And then we're going to put a little bit of water, about a half cup of water, which is probably about all I got. That will also help us not choke anymore. And so basically, I'm going to turn this up a little bit more. And I will move this over here so you guys can see. So again, this is thinner, but basically we are kind of making a paste. I'm also going to use some salt because I am not salt free. You could use a salt substitute, and I'm probably going to use, it said half a teaspoon. I'm going to use about 3/4 of a teaspoon because these are, well, I'm going to use 1 teaspoon. This will be better now.
Okay.
Cheryl's more
Kathy says, Kathy, you look and sound peppier today. You may have addressed this earlier. I hope you are on the mend.
I am. I started feeling better just yesterday. Was it just yesterday? Yesterday I finally felt better, and I'm trying to decide. I think Angela may have been right, and I may have been detoxing a little bit.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm making things, I didn't do it with the lentils because I felt really confident. This isn't going to taste exactly like the dish, but it'll give you an idea. You could use less salt. And I think I'd like a little more.
Oh, good. Sandra B says
a little more
she
turmeric.
is 30 miles from mom and dad, and they just had some rain and a little wind and nothing like the areas on the coast. So, yeah, that's kind of what mom was saying when I talked to her, like in the thick of things. She said that they were only getting like 20, 24 mile an hour winds, which they get on an afternoon storm sometimes, so they weren't really worried.
Okay, we're going to add in the potatoes. And these have been cooked a little bit.
Thanks for throwing that up there, Apple.
Oh, yay. I just love her. And did Cheryl say what, because I didn't pay attention there for a second.
I didn't tell them about our amazing visit with her.
We went to her studio last time we were at Asheville, and okay, I spent all my Christmas money during the summer. And see, this is a dry curry. So that means we want to just have it like this. So it's very different than a wet or stewy curry. Oop. Get back in there. You're not getting out of dinner.
I want to show that other picture.
Okay, Cheryl's going to get one. We have a lot of her art. Which art piece are you showing?
I want to get the other Fergus half.
Okay. And so I'm going to turn this off because it's pretty warm. If you have these potatoes cold, you might want to cook a little bit longer, but these were already pretty warm. And this is great for a meal prep because this way you can have your potatoes and dal over it, maybe some steamed vegetables. Everything we're making today would be perfect to make for a meal prep, for sure. And I'll take this and I'm just going to taste a bit of one of them with a little bit of the paste we made, right? Really nice strong cumin. It is kind of spicy. My cayenne is really spicy. So we got to see. Cheryl may have trouble eating these. I'm going to just put
These are the two side by side.
Isn't it awesome?
Happy kitty. Not so happy kitty.
Evil kitty. And so fresh cilantro would be nicer. But when you don't have it, I love that I just dry some of this too. And I just try to make sure any of the stems that I left, that I try to not put in. And we're going to use this in a couple of other things too. So again, you can kind of see it, right? And actually, if it sits here for a while, it could reconstitute a little bit. So I'm just going to let it go on in. And I think that's just from the, okay, so we've got our dal cooking. We have our aloe vera. Now we're going to make two things we're going to make one thing from the blog, and one thing is a recipe my friend Kalpana, who used to own an Indian restaurant, gave us for my favorite green bean recipe.
Here, I'll take care of that.
Okay. All right. So I'm trying to decide. So we've got soy curls left to do and the green beans. Let's do the soy curls next. Cheryl, you can help me with that if you want to.
Okay.
Let me get another measuring cup. Let me put all these stems in our compost. Giant witchy compost jar. I'm also thinking I have some tofu sag in the freezer that I might bring along too as just another side dish. And we probably should already start the rice. Ooh, you don't have your thing charged up. We can't cook the rice on the way there, can we?
I was charging it up, but I had to unplug it for that.
Okay, so no. That's okay. Going to get a little more water. So we're going to need some more water. Let's move the blender towards you.
Okay. The Vitamix?
Yes, the Vitamix. And I'm going to get some more tomato for you. That I'm going to cut up. And basically, we're making buttered chicken. Usually has butter in it, oil, cream, all kinds of stuff that we're not necessarily looking to do.
Thank you, Apple. We are so bad about that.
What?
Telling people to click the like button.
Oh no, that's great. And Apple does it like it's her job, which is super helpful for me because I got stuff going on. I got to feed people, right?
Yep.
So you're going to put 1 cup of water.
Okay. Put the water in first?
You know, we're going to do this different than these instructions. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Put in a 1/4 cup of oats.
Okay.
Let me remember how much onion we need for the green beans. And see, if you ever wondered, like, oh, cookbook authors, they just know everything off the top of their head. Well, I don't. Maybe they do, but I do not. we are not using onion in here, which is great. And it's great in that I say to saute the onions first in the recipe. We're going to put it in our blender sauce, all that was left. So that's probably about a cup, between 3/4 of a cup to a cup. Good enough. Don't have onions? Onion powder will work great. So
But would you put a cup of onion powder?
oh no. So if you're using onion powder instead of an onion, I probably would put a teaspoon of onion powder or a half a teaspoon of onion powder. Okay, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, which is one of my little scoops.
One of these?
Yep. And it's okay if it heaps up a little bit. That gives it just a little chickeny flavor to it.
Okay.
All right. And I'm going to get this tomato cut up, and then we'll add that. Or actually, why don't you do the tomato?
Okay.
This is just a steak knife. And it can be in big pieces. You want me to do it? I'll do it.
No, I'll do it. You just kind of like...
Here you go. I sprung it on you.
Well, then you always tell me to do something, and then you end up just like staying in there doing it, so I get confused.
Well, you seem nervous, so I didn't want to make you do it.
Well,
okay.
just
So go ahead and
nervous to
put
have
all
everybody
that.
see how
Okay.
horribly awful I am.
Let me assure you, this is not amazing.
So I just put them in.
Yeah, so what I would do,
Just do the whole thing.
yeah,
Okay. Back of the knife.
back of the knife. And the reason you do things is, it's okay, we can pick, this is why I keep the counter really clean. The reason we scrape off the cutting board with the back of the knife is so you don't ruin your blade. It's not as amazing or fancy as it may seem. We're going to do a teaspoon of garam masala. And actually, I'm going to get a half teaspoon because it goes in all the bottles.
Is that done with this?
Yeah, we're done with that. Okay, so I'm going to do, and again, I've got a half teaspoon measure. I'm doing it. That was turmeric. That wasn't garam masala. And we're going to put that in too. You guys, I swapped my labels. Did you ever do that? I should know better than just trust looking at the top of it. Okay, I love Indian blender sauces too, because it makes it seem a lot easier. I'm going to leave out the spice for this since the potatoes are fairly spicy, but you could use a half teaspoon of ground Indian chili powder or cayenne pepper. We're going to do a half teaspoon of ground fenugreek. And will you show the overhead?
Yes.
So these are fenugreek seeds, and this is it ground up. Okay, and go back to the beginning. So when you get, how would you describe this smell? It's a very sophisticated grown-up smell, I think.
It kind of tasted, not tasted, but like, at first it kind of smelled like butterscotch to me.
Yeah, it's a very complex flavor, as if sugar had been over something. You can go back to the front again. We're going to do half a teaspoon, oh, wrong one. 1 teaspoon of cumin. And do you notice that I have a whole bunch of spices here and I'm putting them off to the side? That helps me know that these have been put in, and this is stuff that hasn't been put in. So coriander, we're going to put in a half teaspoon. And I came up with these because when I'm doing Indian food, I try to research some traditional food, and then I smell as I go along as well. Okay, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Will you hand me the white black pepper?
Thank you, Kathy and Joanne.
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
And everyone else who's been so supportive of me being in the kitchen. It's a new thing, but it might be a thing for a little while.
We're thinking coming up that maybe I'll help Cheryl while she either makes some of my recipes or some of our friends' recipes, like Vicki Brett Guck. Kim Campbell, Chef AJ, as well as my recipes, and see how that does.
I mean, because
Give me
honestly,
the salt.
everyone knows that if I can do it, you can do it.
Half teaspoon of salt. And if you didn't want to use salt in here, you could use my plain salt substitute, which is to mix 1 tablespoon garlic powder, 1 tablespoon onion powder, and 1 teaspoon of celery seed ground. Mix it together, use it as salt. Alrighty, so blend away.
All right, I'm going to put up for you to talk about.
I do appreciate that you share these meals as it's so darn inspiring. Oh, thank you. Hubby and I won't be in our own home until mid-October and can't wait to feed ourselves the food I like. I can only imagine. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know how to use it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you did. So you have to turn it on down here, and then the light comes on.
Okay.
And then this is...
Start, stop?
Yeah. And then you move this up slowly. So let's show, in case somebody has not used their Vitamix before, let's show you too. So our older Vitamix didn't have so you have to turn this button on or off. So that's off, I think. From looking at the screen, see there's a little light. So you want to start with this dial at 1. And then this helps you pulse, and that keeps it going. So if I do this one, see, it only lasts as long as I have it down here. If I press this one, it stays. So we start at 1. And then we keep moving it up until it gets really fast. We turn it to 1, stop it, and stop it.
And that's it?
That's it. Okay, so that's our sauce. And what we can do too, you want to taste it. It's going to taste fairly strong because the onions aren't cooked, so you may only want to smell it. It's going to be very oniony at this moment. Actually,
and JM says, can someone fill me in on what they're making? We are making a Indian no oil feast
for our friends.
For kind of their going away. They're going to be leaving the area next week, so we're going to be sad.
So what she wants to know what we're making.
Oh.
So we're making, this is going to be no oil butter soy curls. We're making a yellow dal. We have made cumin potatoes, our aloo jira, and then we are going to make, and I always forget, it's the green beans with the coconut. But though I may save the coconut on the side, I'm trying to make that call because it's so good and it's not a lot. Let's look at this sauce. So I used a regular tomato. So it's a little bit on the light side, and actually, I think we could grind this up a little bit more. Yeah. So what's making ours creamy, that's the Instant Pot with the yellow dog going off, is the oats, and the onion is also making it look a little creamy too. In my original recipe, I cooked the onion, but what we're going to do is cook the sauce, then add the soy pearls to save time. And I think also, I am thinking it's not a normal ingredient, is tomato powder. We could add some tomato powder. I could add more tomato. Because I feel like we're just lacking a little tomatoiness, and I have another tomato. So let's just go ahead and cut it up and add it in here. And so, yeah, and one of the things with the recipes is I'm trying to show you by how I make my own recipes, right? Because it's one thing how I'm making them for you. I'm much more careful and I measure things. Whereas when I'm making them just for me, it's a little haphazard. And haphazard often gives me some of my best recipes.
does.
Would you say?
I'd say yeah.
I'm almost thinking of adding more tomato than that. Let me see. I think I have one more tomato. One more red tomato. I don't want to put, yeah, this one's fine to use.
Should I bust out the rice cooker and start that?
Yes, that would be lovely.
All right.
So we're going to make some brown basmati rice. It's going to take about an hour. So I think we are going to be late, but we'll see. Cheryl may be able to charge up this thing where we can cook it in the car. And we're going to be doing possibly even over the weekend. Okay, you stay there. That's where you want to be. You can stay there. About unboxing some of the things that we've gotten for our travel. Okay.
Just gonna set this here.
And if you didn't have fresh tomatoes, canned tomatoes, tomato powder, tomato paste. When you're making it and it's for your personal dinner, there are only your rules. There's some things that'll make it better, possibly, than others. But in general, you know, it's your dinner. Okay. Oh, Joanne's always talking about my nose. I love Kathy's nose. Where can I purchase a sniffer? I don't think it's so special. Joanne does. But you know what smells good to you and what doesn't. And if you're not sure, I'm trying to think of two. I found two things that don't go together. But if you just smell a couple of things together, you'll find out real quick. I still think the sauce in color is a little lighter, and I may still add something else, but for right now, it's going to be just fine.
Oh, come on.
And I should taste it. Tastes nice and tomatoey to me. So I'm going to get, where was that other?
What?
This pot.
I put it on the thing.
Is that the 6 quart or is that the 4 quart?
That's the one we use for oatmeal.
What is in this one? Oh, the potatoes. Oh.
You need me to wash it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's wash it real quick. Sorry. 4 quart might work, but I think it might be a little, I tend to fill things up too much. And that will always cause issues. And so we're going to warm this up, then we'll make the green bean dish, and I'll show you the yellow dal. And Tia said, I had to get used to the Vitamix noise. Seems so loud, like it's going to take off. Thank you for sharing how to use it. Oh, good. Yeah. And if you guys ever have any questions like that when I'm doing a live by myself, please let me know. I just don't want to bore you guys. But if someone's new to a machine, let me know. I try to put in all the details I can. Oh, yay. I'm glad it looks yummy to you. And Tia says, does the tomato powder add more flavor than adding tomatoes? It can, because tomato powder is concentrated. So think of tomato powder is to tomato paste what regular tomatoes are to canned tomatoes. So you could put a little tomato paste in there. I'm pretty sure I found some tomato powder the other day. Yeah, here we go. I need to dehydrate some things, but usually, and this doesn't look pretty, I'll tell you that right now. It's just in there, and yeah. And it's a little bit old and stuck together. I have some of those little desiccant things from vitamins, because you don't want it to get moldy. But it's just an intense flavor. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, oh, wow, Joanne says I could fly from Sarasota to Durham for $40 each way. That's amazing. Okay. We're going to turn this about on medium heat. And I'm going to cook this a little more than I would the way my original recipe said to, because I decided to just put the onions in here instead of sauteing them first and then adding everything, because I'm trying to be a little more efficient. And then later, I will, as we're driving to our friends, I will decide if it was more efficient or not. Maybe it wasn't. Right? That's the way life goes. And yes, you can totally make your own tomato powder, Kathy. I take, I'm going to up this a little bit, move this out of the way and come back. And then we'll have one last thing to make our green beans in a minute. So, these are some tomatoes from my yard. So I would probably cut these in half. These are pretty big, so I'd probably cut them in quarters, lay them skin side down on the dehydrator, dehydrate until they're crunchy. So you dehydrate if you want to make them like roasted tomatoes, like you can make a stew out of them or something like that, or like soft sun-dried tomatoes. But that's not good for making a powder. For a powder, even if I have sun-dried tomatoes, I will put them in the dehydrator till they are crispy crunchy so that they will do well on in my spice grinder. And then I just grind them up. I do that with jalapenos. Actually, in fact, you guys have heard me talk about making mushroom powder. And the other night, I cut up 2 things of mushrooms. These are halved stems from really big mushrooms, and that's why I don't chop them up. And these are shiitake stems, and so I just left them in there for about a day because these were super moist. And I'll grind them, and if they get too humid again, I'll just put them in the dehydrator for a little while longer, and then I will grind them. Mushroom powder is expensive. Pulling out the stems of your mushrooms while you're chopping them all up and putting them in the freezer is cheap and easy. So there is not a thing in the world wrong with getting tomato powder, mushroom powder, any of the powders. I buy garlic powder and onion powder because I don't grow those. If I grew them, probably Marilyn grows them and dehydrates her own. If you have a big garden, it makes sense. But we don't all, right? So I'm just doing it to be cheap, easy, and efficient. I don't need those stems. I'm okay with the mushroom caps. Like probably 50% of the time with my mushrooms, I end up pulsing them into a mince anyhow. And Joanne said, my dinner is what I find in the fridge and decide it will work for me, or that. Dinner is served. Exactly. And we've been making like rice, keeping rice in the fridge. And in fact, we have rice, but since we're going to a friend's house, we're going to cook fresh rice, fresh brown basmati rice.
Oops.
Oh, fresh white basmati rice? Is that what you decided? You got the basmati though for sure? Okay. I had the brown basmati over here.
I wasn't sure where it was, so I knew I had the big bag here from.
Okay. Oop. Oh, it smells good. But what I really want to do though is I want to cook it fairly well to get these onion flavors kind of mellowed out. So I'm going to simmer it for a little while. There's room on the stove, which we didn't really prepare for using the stove, but we could. So these are, for those of you who didn't see the beginning, these are our cumin potatoes, alugera. And in fact, I'm just going to sit that there. And okay, so I'm going to take this and put it on the other burner for a few minutes so that it can reduce a little more. And you could turn that off for me for a second, if you could. Cheryl? Oh, you are trying. I'm sorry. Okay, getting the lock off high. Okay. And I'm just going to let it cook over here for a minute. And then I'm going to bring over our green bean stuff.
I'm just going to unplug it.
Oh, don't unplug it. No.
Okay.
It was off.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I thought that the red light would go off when it was off.
No, it's telling you it's still kind of going in its own little way. We're going to use some different things with this one than we did with the other. But let me come back, make sure I have everything. Oh, here's something you could do. Oh, let me show you the soy curls. And then Cheryl's just going to drain them. So she's going to put them in the drainer. See, we want to get that out. And just press. It doesn't have to be perfectly everything out, but the more that's out, see how it looks like big chicken strips? So it's either for you or it's not. And you could use cauliflower, chickpeas, other vegetables, mushrooms. So if you want to use that and just pour it through and then just press on here. And we can leave it there and we will add it to our sauce.
Let me rinse this real quick.
Okay, now the computer can go away and I can open up my book. This is the first time Cheryl's been like part of cooking one of these multi-recipe meals where kind of all the recipes hold an equal thing. So this is the Great Vegan Bean book. And if you look down below or you look up Kathy Hester on Amazon, you can still get that. This is from it's green beans Porio? And I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. So many apologies if I'm not. Okay. Mustard seeds, curry leaves. The only thing we're doing different, we're not putting green chili in there. We could put some jalapeno. Did I leave a jalapeno out here at some point? Because I've thought about it.
Am I rinsing these or am I
you're
just pushing? Just pushing.
Yeah. So you're going to pour the whole thing in. And then literally...
You missed a piece.
Okay. Well, you could have gotten that, couldn't you?
I'm just...
Get over there. Get to work, woman. Get to work. And let me get another pan that I can use on the induction burner. I think this one is about the right size. Okay. And I'll show you, too, the picture. Renee Comet took the pictures for this book. Isn't that pretty? So this is Kalpana's. It's the black-eyed pea curry and the green beans Porio. Possibly. Maybe. And I'm going to come back and answer all your questions in just a minute. So this is 1 tablespoon of urad dal and 1 tablespoon of chana dal. We saw the chana dal earlier. That you just soak it, and then I'm going to use my little mini strainer and see if this works. Actually, let me get a bigger one. Bigger thing to hold it in. Okay, nothing's on in here. So I'm just going to take this and use my can strainer and see if that works. I think that works pretty good. And what I think is so cool is this is often used like to make a crunch instead of nuts. And I find it fascinating. And it's used as a seasoning. So urad dal is used in uttappams, dosas, as a seasoning, as a legume. It's used all the ways. It's amazing. Okay, so we've got that on, and we're going to do about a teaspoon of mustard seeds that I have right here. We're going to toast those in there too. And usually black mustard seeds is what's used, but you could use yellow if that's what you have. This is our special spice, hing, or asafoetida. And Cheryl has a special name for it, but I want you to notice it's in 1 bag, 2 bags. It is a very pungent spice.
Beginning of the name is my word for it.
But, Okay, let's get another thing to move this stuff around. And we're also going to take it down just a little. And see, because of some of the water, you see some steam coming off of it. We just want to get everything kind of dried, but we wanted the beans to be soft enough. And they're more than soft enough. It only has to soak for about 5 minutes. I don't have fresh curry leaves, but I have some dried ones. So we're going to add them in a little bit later. And we're going to saute this until the beans, or the lentils, they're not, I still think of them all as beans. All because beans are the best. We want them to toast a little bit. So Cheryl, do you want to just do that for a second? Oh, here you go. She doesn't have calluses like I do.
I'm very sensitive to heat.
Oh, and I was going to get one of my jalapenos from the garden, and we'll add in a little bit of that, so I can cut that up over here. We're going to need a little more water too. We need a half a cup of water, so I'll put that in here. And also, while I'm over at the sink, I'm going to get some extra water in case we need to thin the yellow dal. And I'm also going to check on the butter chicken sauce that's on the stove while Cheryl's doing that. And I'm cutting something up. And we wonder why I get so stressed out sometimes. Right? What if you were a smart human being and you wanted to make all these things, you could also do all the chopping, maybe let's say Friday night. Saturday do all the cooking, and then Sunday just make some rice and warm everything up. And that would be a lovely stress-free way of making the same dinner. Okay, and I'm probably just used a tiny piece of jalapeno. That's not very spicy. Okay. Do they look like they're getting dry?
I think so. The yellow ones maybe are taking a little longer.
Okay, and I want to show this over there. We'll see. It won't be. So see how this is like nice and bubbly and getting redder? I am literally going to turn off the heat and add in the soy curls, and then I'll show it to you. So the soy curls, Cheryl just came over here and pressed most of the water out of. And if there's a lot of, usually when you get butter chicken or butter paneer, Cheryl used to get a lot, or something like that, you do end up with a lot of sauce. So if you don't want that much sauce, you could add more vegetables in. But I think this is a pretty good, I think it looks great. And having some fresh cilantro on top of here would be beautiful.
I saw some dried stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what, that's looking pretty good. There you go.
Wow, that looks amazing.
And that doesn't even have any.
Smells amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that smells so good.
And it's basically all you have to do is make a blender sauce and soak your soy curls. So if we didn't do a blender sauce, okay, I think those are ready.
Okay.
So I'm going to add some more stuff. You want to do comments for a minute?
Yes, trying to.
Okay, I'm going to do about, it says a half teaspoon of turmeric, but I may live my best life. And we want to add in my tiny bit, and we're not using a lot of green beans either. We're using whatever we have. There's my green chili. At the Indian market, you can get proper green chili. It's a different one than you find at the Hispanic market. And here's the thing. In a pinch, things can be substituted, right? Okay, so we'll go ahead and put in the curry leaves. It was supposed to be 12 curry leaves, so I'm just putting in some dry.
Alisa, that we met yesterday.
Oh, yay. What did she say? Read the comment out loud.
It was so lovely to meet you yesterday. I'm so excited that you're making oil-free Indian dishes. I feel kind of icky after yesterday. I hope the restaurant will take to your oil-free ideas.
I am hoping so. And so for those of you who are like, what are you talking about? So a local Indian restaurant now is doing a vegan Indian buffet twice a month or every other Thursday.
So we've decided to use that
for our 10%
out
of whole food plant-based no oil. There is oil in the food right now, but people are there are a lot of plant-based people in the area, so it would be lovely even if we could just get a couple of oil-free dishes.
Yeah.
Now, they're not swimming in oil, but they have oil.
I would say at least 25 to 30% of the people that we've met out there are typically whole food plant-based no oil people. And so everybody is kind of
okay, so this is the gluten-free hing. Most hing are asafoetida. That's that word, and that's the best I can do. It's like Worcestershire. You get what you get. It is very pungent, and I don't even know if we've opened. Yeah, we haven't even opened it yet.
You just need to know the first part of that word. And add spice to the end of it, and that's what I call it.
That is offensive to some people.
I'm sorry.
And I would rather you not. So I'm going to use your chopstick as punishment. So I'm just,
Why are you using my chopstick?
I don't know. Can you see if you can get that off?
Let me see.
Okay, I'm going to lower this a little bit.
Pierce. Wow, that's like heavy-duty plastic.
It's really heavy.
You need something a little more heavy-duty.
Here, this knife needs to get sharpened. You're going to use something out of there?
I'll use one of these that's not as sharp, just in case.
So it's very pungent, meaning it smells, and it smells like it wouldn't taste delicious.
Wow.
Yay, she got it. And you usually just use a pinch. And those of you who maybe can't have onions or garlic, hing is a perfect replacement. So like this recipe has a pinch. And I'll show you what I decided that pinch meant.
I don't know if it's because
but you don't smell it as bad now.
That's why I said I don't know if it's because we've been eating this way for a while and that you've been using that for a while that it doesn't smell as offensive to me today.
Well, what happens too, though, is this is a very strong smell, so you do want to put it in like 2 different bags and maybe not store it. If you have one box with all your spices, maybe store it away because the other spices can pick up this taste and smell. So that's why I do this. Also, usually hing has gluten in it. So you have to make sure you get the one that says sans gluten. You can even get it on Amazon. But it will make all the difference. So there we go. So these are a little bit crunchy. We've got spices on there.
Thanks, Mary Ellen. We appreciate that.
We're going to put about a 1/4 cup of water in here, maybe a little bit more. So again,
TS is saying, is your regular stove an induction cooktop? I use gas and do not care for electric stovetop.
Nope, it's electric. That's what we got with the house.
Yep.
But you can make these recipes on anything.
Yeah.
You can make them on a camp stove if you needed to. Mm-hmm. And that's all that really matters. And we're going to go ahead and add our green beans. Cheryl broke them up into pieces. And we're going to let that cook for a little bit. We can cover it, which means I will find a cover that we can use for this. I just want to get these nice and actually I'm going to use a spatula because spatulas are the best of all things ever. I love spatulas. So I get these coated and we want to get the green beans to be mostly cooked.
Thanks, Apple, for throwing that up there. Dal means cooked lentils or beans.
Yes, and I'm sorry, and that's also what lentils are called a lot of times. You'll see urid dal and, different things. It's kind of cool.
So Colleen is asking, will the soy curls continue to absorb that liquid? I've definitely over-soaked my soy curls and they turn to mush.
I've never had them turn to mush, but maybe I'm just too impatient to let that happen. But they shouldn't now. I'll let you know, but I've never had it happen. And then also this it's supposed to have a little bit of chopped fresh cilantro. So we're going to use some of my not fresh.
Kathy says, everything looks amazing. I wish I had the ingredients to do this tonight, but Costco, Trader Joe's, Indian Market, here I come tomorrow.
Awesome. And the thing is, we've been talking about meal planning and stuff, so this would be something that if I made for me and Cheryl, we would have a whole little feast one night, and then we would have this along with maybe a pot of like maybe Mexican beans, and we could make different bowls. And so I added a little more water because I feel like the beans are going to need to steam up a little bit.
Karen says, you used a ton of hing. It's so strong.
It wasn't that much, but it was probably 2 pinches. 2 pinches. And then, I put the coconut here. So
Kathy stores her hing bottle inside a larger bottle, and it works too.
Yes, and that's fine too. I just want everybody to know who's new to hing that you might... I thought it was all mushed on the bottom. I thought it was small ones.
Terry's asking, what's the Labor Day menu? We haven't even got that far yet. We haven't even thought about Labor Day.
We have not. And coconut is not Dr. McDougall, but I'm going to put a little bit of coconut on here because I want to. And these are pretty big flakes, so people should be able to miss them. They're usually not made with these big flakes. This is what I have, so that's what's going in. Oh my God, I can feel it on my hands. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. Here.
Kathy's asking, why
See
are
how
these
shiny
your
they
favorite
are?
green beans? Is it because of the hing?
It's kind of because of all of it. I like the little bit of crunch from the urid dal and the chana dal. So this was how Kalpana used to make it, and I used to eat at her restaurant every day when I worked a day job. She's since closed her restaurant and has moved away. So sadly, this is the only way I get this dish.
Even I liked to go eat there because
I'm
she
gonna
would
put a
make
little
me
salt
stuff.
on here.
She would make me stuff that was less spicy, or like she would fix me like Indian kids food.
She would. She would totally fix you Indian kids food. And she was just really great about what I could eat, what I couldn't eat. She had almost everything. She had a kind of like a blue plate special every day for lunch. And so it would be a dal, like 3 or 4 vegetables you got to pick from. You could get some roti, some whole wheat bread that wasn't fried, and some pickle. It was just delicious. And sometimes she would put this Indian potato salad, and that recipe is on, I think it's on both Healthy Slow Cooking and Plant-Based Instant Pot, but if you look up Indian potato salad, the smell.
Wow.
Right? And that's the thing. I know if you don't have any Indian food or any Indian ingredients, this may seem like a lot, but just collect a couple, make a recipe, then you've got hing. This hing is going to last us for a couple of years, right? And same thing when you can get this much cumin for less, or the same, usually less than you can get 1 bottle of cumin at the grocery store. So it's kind of amazing. So for the dinner, we're going to have these potatoes, these green beans, and this is going to be also more of a dry dish than a wet dish. I'm just cooking everything down a little bit more.
And we're going to pull some sag.
Or greens
out.
like creamy greens, and I'm pretty sure I made those with soy milk at the time. And then we have, again, I can show you this so you guys can see. I don't see that it's breaking down at all, Colleen. And it's not that I don't believe that it happened to you. These are also really big. Can you do overhead for a second? Or, well, I guess you don't have to. Really big pieces.
I'd go overhead. I'm trying to figure out which one's the overhead.
That one. And so they're going to hold up really well. Now, because I used oats, I'm trying to, because I used oats, it could thicken as it stays hot. So you might have to add a little bit more water. That's the difference about using oats to make something creamy versus like soy milk or something else. And so at the bottom of this pot, there's a little bit there. We're going to look at our doll and we're going to see what we need to do to fix it.
Carrie says, looks like you're feeling better. Are you?
Yes. Thank goodness. I think Angela may have been right, and I may have been detoxing or something, because I felt horrible for most of 10 days.
What's in there?
The doll.
Oh, I forgot about the doll.
Okay.
Wow.
We'll start from there. I'm going to just up this a little bit, but I'm going to turn it down just a bit, because we're going to heat it up again in a couple of hours, but I just want to make sure that the beans are softened. Woo! And a few are thrown on the floor.
Bean down.
I know, a bean is down.
Oh, put it in the compost.
Ooh, that tastes good. Okay, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Now let's look at the doll and talk about it. And you're like, that's not doll, that's a bunch of tomatoes. Trust me, my friend, trust me. Okay, now there's a lot of turmeric on that, so I'm going to pick one of the spatulas Raven did not give me, if I can find one. This one looks good.
That one's already got.
It's already. This one's already turmeric. Okay, so let's mix it up. The tomatoes are on the top. Look at that. Now, we could also go ahead and add some quick cooking vegetables in here, like baby spinach, collards, anything like that. So we're going to get a couple of tasting spoons. I'm going to give one to Cheryl. We've not put salt in this yet, so let's see what we need to adjust first.
I think if you salt it to taste on your plate, it's perfect. It's not too spicy.
I would like a little more ginger. I'm going to put...
Oh, of course you would.
I'm going to put another tablespoon of fresh ginger in here. And let's see, where's the spoon I haven't used? Here we go. Just want to get all this in. Then it's used up. Okay, we need to turn that off.
Stir them a little bit.
Yeah. And see, because we want it to be kind of fairly dry. Okay, so a lot of times when you slow cook or Instant Pot, something like a curry, something with complex flavors, lots of garlic, lots of ginger, that's going to go away. It's still there subtle in the background, kind of the way roasted onion is more subtle than like just sauteed onion. And adding a little bit of it back in, and this is going to stay warm, it'll still cook some, but it'll add a little more pizzazz. Yes.
So when you serve this, would like these pieces at the bottom and stuff, you would eat that too?
You eat it.
Okay.
See, it's not too spicy for you or anything, but it has a better flavor overall. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me let you guys see this stuff one
Yeah,
last time.
turned off finally.
It's letting you know it's hot. So I think this is pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in. As much as it is, I'll probably do somewhere between a half a teaspoon and a teaspoon. Again, if you don't use salt, use your plain salt substitute, and that should work just fine. Okay. So we now have all four things, and the rice is cooking. And see how when we put this in a bowl, how everything kind of gets all pretty, and you'll have some little different textures, which will be really cool. You have a little bit of coconut, a little bit of these. Do you want to taste one of them?
Sure.
It feels like a nut is in there.
Yeah.
Isn't it awesome? And I was thinking...
And that's a bean.
Yeah, it's a lentil.
That's nice.
The urad dal and chana dal. So at one time I had asked Kalpana when she had made something, I'm like, is there peanuts in it? She goes, I never cook with peanuts. So too many people have an allergy. And it's always with these lentils. And you just have to soak them like 5 to 15 minutes. So it's not something you have to think way ahead on either. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's amazing that asafoetida can smell so bad and then taste so good. Yes. I love green beans, and I like these because they're not always at the Indian buffet, but they'll also do beets this style and other vegetables this style. And the coconut does make it delightful, though I would recommend the thin, lowered fat if you're going to use it, but you can leave it out as well. Since I don't know if they've had this one or not, and it's a little unusual, I thought having just a little few flakes of coconut in there to flavor it would just be a little extra. I believe this is, I don't know for a fact, Apple, do you know? Because typically dishes that use coconut tend to be from more South India. India is a ginormous place with a lot of different food cultures. But like uttappams, dosas, idli, those also come from the South. And so did Kalpana. So that's another reason why I'm thinking it might be. And hopefully one day we'll make the black-eyed pea curry. Because that was pretty fun. It's pretty delicious. And when she made it, I was like, ooh, are you trying to like do Southern fusion? Because I'm like, how cool is that? Because she used a lot of local vegetables. And she's like, black-eyed peas were somewhere else long before they were here. And that was something brought from Africa, I believe. So my big mistake, but it was delicious. But I'm almost wondering, Terry, for Labor Day, because we need to do a video with our soy milk maker. And so I need to make some soy milk, and I need to make some other stuff. And I make this really yummy Okara black bean burger, smash burger. And they're so simple. They're so simple. I made them up in a class not that long ago. So we'll probably come on and make something for sure. Hey, Mona. Let's see. And yes, I am feeling so much better. Thank you. I'm glad it sounds delicious. Yeah, it's colorful. You've got green beans. That's why sometimes in this dal, instead of just tomatoes, we could have put sweet potatoes, carrots. We could have put summer squash in there. We could have put winter squash in there. We could have put any greens, like probably summer squash or greens, I would put in after I pressure cooked it. We could have put potatoes in there. Whatever you want. You could make just a big thing of yellow dal and steamed vegetables, mix it in, and serve it with whatever your starch is, and you're good to go. And I can eat Indian food every meal, every day, probably for the rest of my life. I'd miss a few things. I'd want to, like, every once in a while have some other food, but it's such a varied cuisine to me. Like, I know I only know a tiny part of Mexican cuisine and a few others, so I'm focused more on an area. And if I knew the whole, like, all of Central and South American cuisine, makes these amazing, wonderful flavors, but because I feel like I could eat 5 things at every Indian meal and probably not even double up if I was going out for months. So that's why I love it. Spilt beans. Oh, Snowy Girl cooked some dal last night in Australia. And dal is also very inexpensive and very healthy. And it helps you use, you can make leftover vegetable soup, but you can make leftover vegetable dal. And then what I would do if I cleaned out the fridge with some dal is then I would freeze some of it up. And we'll probably leave some with Christine and Kevin, and then take some back, and we may freeze some of them. I don't think any of the potatoes will come back, or green beans, there's not that many. some of those soy curls might come back too. And Kathy says, hard to imagine, but I have a friend from India who says that she loves the smell of hing. It makes her nostalgic for home and her mom's cooking. I think that's a little bit like the smell of brewing coffee or bacon, something like that. Like I think bacon's gross, and I haven't had bacon in, oh my God, 41 years for real. So I don't smell bacon and go, ooh, that's a tasty treat. I can't wait to eat it. But sometimes it does remind me of waking up as a kid. So I can see that. Oh, you're so sweet. This was a hot mess live stream brought to you by Kathy and Cheryl as we try to learn how to cook together. I'm used to, the kitchen is usually my domain, but I want her to feel more confident and like sometimes it surprises me because she edits my videos with me teaching other people. So I just sometimes assume that means she learned it too.
I don't pay any attention to what's being said or anything. I'm just looking for cut marks and that's...
Yeah. So it's very interesting, and so we'll have more, and I'm thinking we might do a couple where we just do one. This one was a little different, and last time we took food to our friends, I did a live then, so I thought, let's do this. And I mean, in what? We've probably been on a while.
Yeah,
in like an hour and 40 minutes, we made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. We have rice, soy curl, oat butter masala, or not butter masala, and we have poriol, green beans, Jira potatoes, and a yellow dal. That's a lot of food to make in an hour, just over an hour and a half, especially since we didn't have everything prepped.
Right.
We started from the beginning. We did cook the potatoes ahead of time because I knew we couldn't manage.
And I cleaned the green beans and snapped them and everything ahead of time so we didn't have to.
But we also were just like running around a lot too. So you could probably do this in an hour, especially if you like prepped all the veggies and then had everything ready.
Yeah, it's funny. We always think that we have like the time figured out how long it's going to take to do something, and it always takes longer
to do anything. So like if I'm doing like just for this live stream, I was like, okay, we'll just go live, and I was like, oh, let's take a picture together in the kitchen. Okay, now I have to go into PicMonkey and I have to make the thumbnail. Oh, now I have to post all like everything has a lot of steps, and in the kitchen too, it doesn't make it hard. But the more you can get done ahead of time, the easier life is. Like if, let's say onions, if Anya was going to cook a lot over the weekend, we could have prepped a whole bag of onions like that, right? And they could be done. They could be in the freezer in an ice cube tray. So the more, and we'll talk about this along the way, the more we can kind of do things ahead of time or batch cook, or like, to me, this, if I made this amount of dal for us, this is enough for us for a couple of meals now and probably 3 meals or more later. I would put some in like probably a cup to 2 cup sizes. And then we can just pull that out and put it over rice if I don't feel good or if we're just hungry and we don't feel like cooking.
Well, and that's what I was getting ready to say is for us, a lot of times when we would get into trouble and go out to eat in the past is because we wouldn't want to take the time to make a meal like this. We would just be like, let's just go pick something up kind of thing. And now we try to make sure that we have a lot of things prepped so that we're less likely to let that happen.
Yeah. And Joanne agrees, you're right. Bacon does smell good. It's the smokiness. And I love smoky foods. I love smoked paprika. I love liquid smoke. I'm still got to do a whole bunch of other smoking things, but just from being sick and everything else, I'm a little behind. And Mirren says, love the smell of hing when it's cooking, but not when sitting in its container. And it's very different. And the smell you smell when it's in the container is not what you taste when you eat it. You just try and trust me on this one. If you go to Indian restaurants or have gone, you have had hing, I can assure you. And Kathy says, it is for our mutual friends, Christine and Kevin. Yeah. Tell them I'm very sad not to be joining you all because there's enough food. There's enough food if you could get here fast enough. Oh, well, thanks for hanging out with us all the way in Australia. that is one of our goal places to go hang out someday.
Yeah.
And TS says, fantastic collaboration. You both did wonderful. It's like learning and watching friends. Thank you both so much. Thanks for being patient with us as we're trying to figure out how to do this. Because I want to utilize Cheryl so she feels more comfortable in the kitchen. But then we got to get some stuff done. So it's a new thing for me to learn and process too.
Yeah, we're cooking so much more now, so I have to kick in, and I'm going to have to take some shifts at one of the meals at least.
Well, you've been making breakfast every day, so she's been making oatmeal for us. And
We've been primarily doing leftovers for lunch.
Yeah, and so stuff from the fridge for lunch and then making something for dinner.
And some days we don't even eat lunch because some days we're just like full from our oatmeal, and if we don't feel hungry, we don't eat. But that might mean that we eat dinner early that night or something like that.
And Jody and Maryland are late, and it is fine. It's never too late or too early to come hang out. The replay should be up pretty quickly. It depends on the YouTube, but it will be on the same URL. And we got to get this stuff together because I think we're going to be late.
We are going to be late at this point.
So we'll say goodbye, we'll text them, and then we'll get everything together, and then because it's about a half an hour drive, so we're going to go drive all the food over.
Yep.
And the yellow doll, if anybody writes up the recipe from watching it and sends it to me, I will get it on the blog. If not, I will try to do it, but it is lower on the totem pole.
Yeah.
So, and Elizabeth says,
no,
we'll try to make it on the, okay, great. And that's Fergus wanting to go out. Oh, thanks. We're gonna enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. And we did pretty good. I would say a C+ in teamwork.
Yeah. There was some off-camera, not so great teamwork while we were tripping over each other, coming in and out of the kitchen.
We're figuring it out. Cheryl, one of my pet peeves is Cheryl likes to stand in doorways, or there's
I have a great skill for blocking doorways.
And I learned a long time ago when I was taking Aikido and I was taking care of a World War II Japanese man. That is never to be done. So it's hard for me. But we'll get better.
It's the dog.
Yeah,
or the cat.
Or the cat. Everybody wants to block me. They can feel. Okay, and yeah, we will probably come on over the weekend. We don't have anything exacting yet, but we don't have anything that we're planned to do either.
Come here. I got to change shirts anyhow.
You guys are awesome.
Okay, there you go.
There's Fergus. See, look. Fergus.
Can't get too
I'm
close
wearing
to
your
the food,
shirt.
buddy.
Oh, you look so unhappy. Oh, he's so unhappy.
I'm sorry.
Okay, you guys, it was great. Aw, thank you. Oh, I think the food is an A+. I feel good about the food. We're learning how to work well together in the kitchen. Okay, you guys, have an amazing Friday night. Eat something tasty. Don't be afraid to tweak your recipes. Smell, taste, add half the amount you think you would. Smell, taste, or taste, smell. Do you want more? Okay, you can add some more. Maybe not. Maybe you needed something different. Just be patient with yourself, because you can just keep layering these little bits of flavors until it's just right for you. Aw, everybody's giving us 10s. Go pack. I know, we need to get out of here. Oh, today is Ginger Cat Appreciation Day. Well, I wore that at a good time. And Liz says, isn't that what marriage is all about? Working it out. Love you too. We love having you here, and it's awesome to see all of you guys hanging out with us. And Linda, you have a beautiful night. And I really am going to go now because I think I have to put on real shoes and everything to leave the house.
You got to change shirts. Get
covered
in cat hair
and food. Okay. All right. We'll talk to you very, very soon. If you have some questions, if you're watching the replay, just leave them in the comments. I do not have the recipe written out for this yellow doll. We made it up together. So that won't be coming right now. Okay? Have an awesome weekend, and I'll see what I can do about making some smash burgers together soon. Okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Bye.